Hi, this is part 2 of the video that I just started making. I wrote, I'm in the process of writing a book. The first one was about, I guess, prepping, which I don't like to call myself names. I don't like to call myself raw foodist, because I'll eat molasses or supplements or juice, and those are not raw. So I don't like to put labels on my name, and I'll eat cheese. And I'm not vegan, mostly vegan, and occasionally eat meat. I haven't eaten meat in like 2 months, but I've made buffalo jerky in the dehydrator. But basically, I was looking around for my book. I have a copy on my computer, but it has some photographs of some of the items that I use to prepare raw foods, including the cutting board, the different knives, all those 3 things my dad sent me. Some big knives and little choppy Japanese style knives. The dehydrator. I have a couple juicers. I have more than a couple juicers. I have like 3 electric juicers. One just simple. This is probably the most used, where you just take the little white thing and put it on a cup and you squeeze the orange or the grapefruit. That's used more than any because it's simple. You could take it with you. I used to do fasting when I was retaking my undergrad. I would do fasting once or twice a week, where I would go out to the car during my lunch and bring a cutting board and everything, and just cut up some orange or something, grapefruit, and juice it in the car and drink it. Easy to clean up, unless you leave it sitting overnight. That's not very easy, but basically easier. You don't have to take apart the whole thing and wash it. There's also, okay, so there's a book, there's an author I like called Anne Wigmore, who I found out about from my dad, and her grandma they lived over in Europe during one of the wars. I'm sorry, I forget the dates sometimes. My kids are good at history and dates. But the grandma was a medicine woman, and the bad guys and the good guys would come to her when they're injured and needed help. A lot of people died, and she would give the sick soldiers or anyone, she'd give them raw goat's milk. And then the little girl, one of my favorite stories, I don't want to go through the whole thing. Basically, she had to become like the shepherd, because the little boy who was doing it got beaten and abused really bad and died. So she had to take over with the sheep. I think it was a sheep. And anyway, she had to wake up early, so Grandma would put her at the table and give her the raw goat's milk because she was still a child. The grandma said, don't drink the milk unless you're sick or a child. You need those nutrients. So she had the nutrients, and there was a type of bread. Probably it could have been sprouted wheat, I'm not sure, the grain. But Grandma would make it, and this is not my grandma, this is Anne Wigmore's grandma. She would make the bread, like mix up the ingredients and set it out in the sun to sun bake and sun dry. No ovens, no fires. And she had some other kind of, I don't know if it was a kind of oatmeal or something. I haven't read the book in a while. But she came over to this country, basically got really sick, got run over by a cart, like a horse and buggy cart. Doctor said, you got gangrene, we need to cut off your leg, you're going to die. She goes, I'm not going to get my leg cut off. Her dad was abusive. That's how she got left in the old country. Her mom and dad came over here without her. And she ended up having some man come over to the house. She was like a secret story. Carry her down the stairs out to the yard. And she sat out in the yard all day and ate grass, because she was grazing like an animal. And she had this dog come up to her every day, and lick her wounds. And the gangrene went away. But this was a long time ago. It's probably the early 1900s. I'll tell you the dates and the name of the book, and I'll show you the book later. I have several by this author, so it's hard to keep everything straight. But basically, what was almost an impossible thing was that she ended up getting healed and having full use of her legs. I mean, it helped to have this friend. And in the Bible, I read the Bible every day. Well, say, just like with movies, I can memorize quotes, and I can memorize what people are wearing, or what the color, or if it's gold, or if it's emerald. But when it comes to like the name of the chapters and the name of the people, I get a little confused. And the dates, I can see, it's like I visualize stories in my mind. I could see like a movie playing in my mind, but when it comes to having to speak it out loud, that's why I had some trouble in school in the past, because that's the way I think. I can, when they talk about the human body, how it's working, I can see exactly how it's going. When I talk about chiropractic stuff, I can see exactly how it's going. But people don't think I know how to do it. Like, if someone says you need to do a surgery this way, I may not be able to name every stitch that you do, but in my mind, I see every stitch and know what it's for. So people kind of tell me I'm an idiot, but it's like, I'm a different way of thinking than you do, and my way of thinking has helped me be really successful in certain areas. There's some people may not notice that I am, so blah, 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 I'm off track. Basically, this lady went off, came over this country, and the foods, even in the early 1900s, the foods were processed more than they were in her old country, out in the middle of the woods, out in the middle of nowhere, in the mountains, somewhere near Yugoslavia or somewhere like that. So she started having her gums and her teeth get rotten and bleeding all the time, and she ended up trying to find a way to use grass in her diet, and she tried all these different grass seeds, and she was living in an apartment, and she basically was growing the grass in the closet or something like that. Basically, as far as I know, she got like a meat grinder. Back then, people would grind their own sausage and ground meat and with like a hand crank, and it doesn't have to be a hand crank, it had electricity. So basically, the whole point of the story is she started juicing with a meat grinder. So she'd grind up the grass, and the juice would come out the bottom, and then it would separate the pulp, however she did it. I actually bought one of these meat grinders. I had one in West Virginia. Someone gave us a whole bunch of stuff, and I didn't use it because it kind of grossed me out. I have like germ phobe, like, how do you clean this thing? How did anyone clean it? I should have used it. I bought ground meat for my kids, and they don't eat it. I wonder about the pesticides and the antibiotics in there. And I'll buy stuff from the health food store that costs twice as much, and I'll find chunks of bone and junk. And and I'll get one that's like $1 cheaper, and it's like, I feel like they just ground up a bone and put a little bit of fat in there just to call it meat. Like, I'm really disappointed. So in the future, hopefully, if I still even eat meat, I don't want to be vegan, but I'm really interested in keeping my health and my cholesterol and my weight down. Blah, 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 blah. I bought one of those hand crank meat grinders, and I would like to try it with the wheatgrass, but the wheatgrass I grow usually goes bad. If I grow it or buy it, and I'm really busy in school. As you can see, I procrastinate. I either procrastinate or I'm busy, so stuff will go bad before I have a chance to juice it. And I can't grow it outside in my city. Every time I grow it outside, it gets these little scales all over the wheatgrass. And I don't know if that's like an infection, a bug, a fungus. It happened over on the other side of town, on the other side of the river where I lived, and it happened here. After a couple days, even if you put your flower pot outside, it gets that all over it. And it almost, like the grass is green, it almost forms an entire coat of these scales all over. That's disgusting. And my dad's like, oh, I wouldn't eat that. So since I've already babbled on enough, I just wanted to share verbally some of the items that I have in the kitchen, including dehydrator. I like a lot of frozen. I don't like a lot of frozen fruit, but me and my guinea pig do well. We got some wild frozen blueberries I just ate, and some frozen, probably organic mangoes. Sometimes at the regular store, if I'm running a couple errands, I'll buy their frozen fruit, which has additives, sometimes sulfurs or preservatives, which I don't care for, and I know they're not organic. I'll buy that sometimes, because I'll probably eat it. If it's keeping me from eating something else, I can't eat wheat and gluten and all that, then whatever. But a lot of times if I get my kid some chocolate milk, then I don't want it to go bad, so I'll get like a bunch of bags of frozen fruit, because you don't have to cook it, you just put it in a bowl and eat it or let it thaw. So somebody helped us clean, and we got rid of like everything in our house, and then for some reason we just decided to replace it with twice as much stuff, which is pretty bad. So be careful if you have someone help you clean and you think it's a good idea. If you actually use stuff, or like if you're planning, like for instance, I bought this not wound up. I replaced the clock we had got at a thrift store, and I bought this recently for my daughter. Even there's not a disaster, electricity goes out, just because you have a wind up clock. I had a wind-up watch, too, that's all given away. I mean, I think of all these stupid clocks on the wall and how many batteries, I'm not even joking, those things go through. And then the rechargeable ones, they're like super expensive and they hardly hold the charge. At least the ones that I've gotten. I still use them, but it's like, I'm just, how much energy am I actually using to recharge those stupid things? I have my backpack. I was downstairs. My kid was listening to me. I don't like my kids listening to me talk. It sounds like I'm talking to myself. I brought just a few things around the kitchen because I don't know if people know what I'm talking about when I was talking about raw food and the whole prepping thing. I recently started using this, what is it? I don't know the brand. It's just raw coconut crystals. And I hesitate. I stopped eating the raw sugar is not raw. It's boiled several times. And I was using it to make hot raw cocoa, which I was warming water. It's basically, you can still stick your finger. It doesn't burn it. A lot of raw food, it says keep it under 118 degrees. So it was fairly warm, not hot, boiling. I was using raw cocoa powder, cacao powder. I was using raw sugar just because I could tell the difference between the raw sugar and bleach sugar. If I had, like, even supplement like vitamin C, little children's vitamin C, I feel really sick after I eat it. I feel like I have to take a nap. There's a lot going on when I eat bleach sugar, and I can feel it a lot as I haven't had it for a long time. And with the raw sugar, I was okay. And molasses has a lot of nutrients, potassium, iron, and a lot of other nutrients and trace minerals, because sugar grows deep in the earth and collects a lot of more nutrients than other plants do, which is like people in my school are always like, sugar kills and all this stuff. But if you really, the stuff in molasses, you could probably live, like when I feel sick and dizzy or feel malnourished, I'll just drink the Blackstrap organic molasses and I'll feel fine. Like I don't take like supplements or pills. That's a real food thing that comes from outside. It's just processed. This is boiled down basically. But sugar is the same thing as the molasses. It's just the bleached sugar and molasses together makes the whole product. So I was eating the raw sugar because basically like that whole product heated up and evaporated. And I don't want to say something because someone else said something. I'm telling you how I felt after I ate it and after my kids ate. But I also felt like I lost a few pounds when I cut out the raw sugar. It's because I cut out the cocoa for like 3 weeks. And I cut out the sugar and I lost a few more pounds. And I was hesitating whether to even add it back. But I found out supposedly this is raw. A lot of things are called raw that aren't. But I tried it and it's okay. I even tried the raw sugar or the raw cocoa, hot cocoa, warm cocoa with raw honey. And it was okay. There's a few products I brought up here. It's just random because I'm procrastinating my studying and I need to just not spend all day planning my video. As far as like 72-hour kit or quick snacks, I'm more trying to talk about like a 72-hour kit or a prepper's kit or whatever you want to call it. These I ordered online. Some of this stuff, the more I eat it, the more I'm like, oh, I could do without. But if you want to, for me, if I want to stay on the raw food, having little snacks like this, I feel like I'm going to pass out. It really tastes good to me, and it's got a lot of nutrients. These are pretty high calories. This one's low calorie. It has 290 milligrams of sodium. Some of these products have way too much sodium. If I make stuff myself, it ends up with more sodium, but I use Redmond's Real Sea Salt, and I can feel the difference between my sea salt. Occasionally I use Celtic, but it's hidden somewhere in the back of my cupboard, like unbleached, unprocessed Celtic salt. I can tell the difference between products like this that just use who knows what kind of salt. And I think they can get away with calling it raw and still use the salt in the blue container, which I don't even remember what that is called anymore. Morton, something like that. This, I have a lot of jars. I don't want pests in my house, and a lot of my foods, I don't have like a lot of canned foods and stuff. A lot of my foods can keep for a long time, So my friend yelled at me. She came to my house and said, "You need to throw away all your jars. This is ridiculous." And then like a few weeks later, she's like, "Oh my gosh, my whole kitchen got grain moss and worms and everything had to be thrown away." And she's like, $10 worth of cereal. I was like, if you buy all organic and raw and all these specialty items, it costs more than $10 to replace. So I have, that's what I was saying in the last video, I have to stick to what I feel is right. This, I don't eat that much. These are unhulled buckwheat. There's a lot of products I eat that have buckwheat or sprouted buckwheat. Sometimes this stuff ends up being fed to my guinea pig. But some of them are experimental. Some of them I'll stop studying and I'll be like, I'm going to go make a raw food product and make a nut butter or put it in the sprouter or put it in the dehydrator. This is old. This is some sprouts that my dad gave me, and I'm telling you the truth, this is really old. I gave the sprouter to my friend, and I shouldn't have given, I mean, this is like more than 10 years old. Like 15, this is really old. I don't even know how I ended up. My dad gives me some of this old stuff. They had a brand new sprouter, the tube kind that you put in the cupboard, and I gave it to my friend. I'm kicking myself. I know she didn't use it. I just took these out because they're old and gave her fresh sprouts. The tube thing comes with things like this, but it has a small yellow screen that, I mean, these seeds, you can't see, these seeds would fall right through here when you rinse it. So basically you put your sprouts, soak it, and I prefer like bottled water or distilled water. You soak it overnight or however long, and then basically you drain it and rinse it, and then it's big stuff. I prefer to store my stuff upside down in a bowl and let the water come out and the air come in. I haven't done regular sprouts in a long time. I have some stuff in the fridge, flax seeds and sunflower seeds that I sprout it. What I like to do is soak it overnight, sprout it for like a day. My dad said, don't worry about the time. Soak it for like 2 hours and sprout it for like 6 hours. Because my thing is, I want to do it so much. And then by the time I realize I get back home from school and I have like 2 exams the next day, and I'm like, I'm not putting anything in. My juicer is also a nut butter maker and pasta maker and all these other things that I don't use. So basically, the thing that's in the fridge right now is going to go out to the garden because it's already been out there in there unrinsed and crazy. I was supposed to sprout it, soak it, sprout it, and run it through the nut butter thing and make like a dip or make some crackers. I think I was going to make flaxseed crackers. I ended up ordering them online, so I was even less motivated. This is a sprout bag. I had one my dad sent me, and I went on vacation to his house, and I was supposed to bring it on the plane. And here's a picture of like mung beans, I think. I was supposed to bring it on the plane, and I ended up leaving it in the sink. And totally, when I got home, it was like moldy and the sprouts are all dried up. And I guess you could boil it to decontaminate it, but I didn't feel right about growing sprouts in a moldy bag. I didn't, I don't know. I just threw it away. So I finally just replaced it recently, but, I mean, if the event of a disaster, you could sprout your own vegetables. So basically, you're getting sprouts. And a lot of people complain. I have to be careful who I talk to. That's why I don't talk to people I know anymore. A lot of people complain about how sick I'm going to be because sprouts have contamination. But at home, I've never gotten sick. I've been doing this for like 10 years. And I'm not saying I'm an expert or that I even do it that much. So I can't tell you to do this. But I use clean dishes. Things in my kitchen are somewhat cluttered, but because it's like all these different food, everyone in the house has different food needs and different things they like to eat. I basically wash my hands when I go into the kitchen, and I wash my containers. I use the dishwasher. It gets hot. I don't dishwash everything, and then I put it in a clean place. I don't mix it with meat. I don't mix it with eggs, and we barely eat eggs or meat anyways. So a lot of things you get from the store are improper, they're not washed. People are, I mean, why in the world are there so many spinach recalls? Because it's not because, oh, your spinach just happened to grow E. coli. It's because it was contaminated with something from a chicken. So people always yell at me, and a lot of these people are very sick and having medical procedures all the time because they refuse to eat that. After 2 spinach recalls, one of my neighbors like, I'm never eating fresh vegetables again. She goes, see, that's why I don't do it. But more people get sick off frozen dinners and meat recalls and the ground beef recalls. It's just they make a big deal out of the stuff that they don't want people eating. This, I'm going to try not to eat as much. This is just raw cocoa or cacao paste. I make my own raw. I heat it at a very low temperature. It usually stays below 95. Heat water like in a double boiler, and you can make little treats. And I like to crush nuts, and I'll tell you the whole recipes later. But basically, it's a way that I can use. I didn't grow this. I bought it from People's Food Co-op. But you can make products that you could store or put in the freezers. Like in the case of a disaster, if you had treats in the freezer, you can pull that stuff out and it won't go bad, really. Like chocolate stuff won't really go bad. But it would be like a small, condensed energy, high energy, and you could eat it. Chocolate has a lot of nutrients. Sugar does. I can go over all that later. It's just basically a small, easy to eat treat that you know what you're making. You know what you're eating. I use agave and cocoa butter and nuts and sea salt to make my treats. This one's not open, but I've eaten these before. Store-bought carrot crisp, basically. It looks like I have to eat it soon. Carrot, sunflower seeds, flax, green onion, parsley, garlic, ginger, lemon, and salt. And I don't like buying these things anymore because I don't give the guinea pig. I feed a lot of stuff to the guinea pig. I don't give him onions or garlic, so people put onions and garlic in everything, and I'm getting tired of it. If I make my own, it's not like that. This is raw sushi nori. It's got thiamine, B1, riboflavin, which is B2. It's got vitamin A, vitamin C. Protein, actually, has 1 gram per serving. It's got potassium and phosphorus and iron in this thing. And it's not like the best thing. You get the crispy ones from Trader Joe's, they're good, but they're also processed and have a lot of oils and salt. Like this, when you're hungry, when you want all those minerals and vitamins and iron and protein, you can eat this. And a couple weeks ago, I put some under. I got a filter for the water, the tap water, which I don't really trust in that much, but I want anything to take away the ammonia and chlorine. So I got a filter. I ran these underneath the filter and put them on a cutting board, and then I sprinkled a little oil and salt on it. Put them in the dehydrator so I could try to recreate the pre-made crispier nori. And I liked it. That stuff doesn't stay in dehydrated very long. It just gets eaten. And so these products, for like prepping purposes, they would need to be properly, like, don't quote me on how to properly store. I just want to keep bugs out. That's why I like closed jars. And ants can get into honey jars. So I've opened some and found surprises. They can get in, but I'm more concerned about grain moss or I don't want a lot of stuff. These I just bought. I sampled them before I started the video. It's like this is from what I call the hippie store. It's basically some kind of spirulina with a bunch of, I think it's kale and a bunch of sunflower seeds, and they basically did what I wanted to do. They did a soaking, sprouting, blending, and then made crackers in a dehydrator all up below 100 degrees. I don't have all the ingredients, but stuff like that, people have videos where they have their jars, where they take all the air out, or they have the food savers. So that kind of stuff can be preserved and put, like, if you want. And it's not even, like I said, just for raw foodists. It's also for someone who wants a really compact. Most of the raw food products they eat, my kids or other people are like, oh, that sounds disgusting. But you get used to it, and your body doesn't get, like, heartburn or stuff. Like, you don't get, like, oh, I have a headache. Certain foods, oh, I have a stomachache, a headache. But it tastes so good. These ones, like, to me it tastes good, but at first it's like, I would have to, like, mineral water. This kind I started buying because I sell the regular store. But I was buying the Gerolsteiner, and I bought it for a couple of years, like, a few times. I was like, is this supposed to taste like this? Is it rotten? And I ended up throwing it away. So I finally got used to it and realized that I felt better after drinking it. So anyone could use, like I said, I can't tell you what to do, but for me, I like to keep these products around because they have nutrients in it that are not artificial or made in a lab. They're better if I make it myself from scratch, because I can't control what's going in or what's not on the label. I can't control how it's grown, but until I get to that point where I mean, in my life, I'll probably have to hire someone to help me garden and grow stuff from scratch. This Gaia Herbs Mental Alertness, I'm only saying what I have in my house. This helps, it says on here, supports mental clarity, focus, and memory. That's all I can say. I can't tell you to take it or not, but I feel like if there's a disaster or even not, it helps. For me, it would help clear my mind. It's just basic oats and ginseng and Fochi root and other items. Here's two products that I have in the cupboard. I just pulled them out, but I don't really care to eat them. If I pack them in my lunch, I'll eat them because I'm hungry, or I'll forget my lunch, and they keep well in a locker or in a bag. And these products, I don't care for that much. I have other like things in little bags like this. Usually they get jarred up. I noticed when I was getting ready to make this film, I really have like different sprouted almonds and different things. I rather eat some of the things that are just plain. I rather eat like nuts and stuff rather than eating those things that are mixed. Sometimes I don't know. It's more about forgetting about it. But it could be good, and it takes up a little bit of space, and they're compacted with like nuts, which have a lot of calories, and sunflower seeds. I just like to buy flax seeds, and these people get mad. They're like, you have to grind them and then put them in your food or cook them in the bread. But I just eat them. I'll eat them right out of the jar. I'll put them in the guinea pig cage or sprinkle them on a salad or whatever. Last time I tried sprouting and making crackers, it didn't happen. So it's going to be a complete waste. So for me, I don't like to be scolded and saying there's no point in eating flax seeds if you're not going to grind them in a grinder fresh every day. I like to chew my food, and like I have a whole bunch of teeth in my mouth, and I like to chew things thoroughly. So why is that not good enough? Like I said, this is me. I can't give you suggestions. I chew my food. I don't swallow it whole. I don't know. And I can see where they're saying grind it so that you get the nutrients released once your digestive system takes over. But like I said, even people say raw foodism is bad because you're cooling your body. Like I'm going to eat some hot sauce or some dry habanero peppers. It might be cold, but I am sweating when I eat that. Sprinkle on my salad for eating horseradish or something. And some of this stuff isn't always raw. I had raw wasabi. It's not actually hot by itself. But I could have some celery from the fridge. I'm going to put it in my mouth and I'm going to chew on it. For like a little. I'm a slow eater. So I'm going to chew on it. When I swallow it, I don't feel that coldness. And I don't know. I'm doing this. My dad's doing raw food to set a good example for me and my kids, and I'm doing it because I've trained my body to like it, and it's uncomfortable to not eat the foods I call healthy for myself. And everything's not perfect, but I mean, I can't go back to the other way. It's like someone who quits smoking and they try to smoke again. Some people will relapse and start, and some people they'll say, I can't believe I ever did that. This is the Bragg cider vinegar. My dad got me into this. I like it. I keep it in my car for emergencies, and I keep it in the house, in the bathroom. I don't drink it as much every day, but if I start feeling tired, I drink it. Definitely. If I start feeling a sore throat, I drink it. If I keep it in the bathroom upstairs. If I don't feel good in the middle of the night, I don't care. That's the first thing I'm going for. And I've had food poisoning where I was in the bed, I couldn't move, and I couldn't use the toilet, and I had my daughter bring me a jar. The jar I had upstairs in my bathroom was empty. My daughter brought me a new jar of this, and actually a little boy had come over after church, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a bad host. I have these kids playing all alone, unattended, and I was so sick. I said, you know what, it's Sunday, I'll just have to rest, which I never do. And I made myself drink some of this pretty strong. I barely diluted it. Sometimes I don't dilute it at all. Like I said, I can't tell you what to do. But I fell asleep for like an hour, and I woke up completely fine. I thought I was going to die. I've done that more than once. They have books. The Braggs have books. Lots of people have books about cider vinegar. And when you're going like to Mexico or something, or to a potluck or something, a lot of people will be like, oh, I drink vinegar before any meals, or I drink it when I am on vacation. And that one person who drank the vinegar didn't get sick. Everyone else who ate the same thing got sick. But I can't quote it right now because I don't have the books in front of me. This, I took a break from eating those little energy bars, and I typically will only buy the raw ones. I don't label things very well. I put dates in what store, People's, Cacao. So this one's actually chocolate. There's carob ones, and they have them at stores, the raw next to the not raw. So I took a break from chocolate, so I wasn't eating anything that was in the cupboard because I wasn't sure if it was carob or chocolate. I wasn't sure. I guess I didn't read the label. So this little energy things, I don't have ingredients, but there's nuts and chocolate and probably dates. There's a lot of sweeteners with dates. Here is one of my favorite, the Brazil nuts, just in a jar. I buy bags of these and from different stores. They probably aren't always organic. I just, for some reason, like to eat those. And I don't feel sick when I eat it. I feel nervous because of the calorie content. This is ashwagandha powder. I couldn't tell you if it's raw or not, but I prefer to have it with me when I'm at school in a jar. I used to put it in my hot cocoa every day, but I'm trying not to drink that hot cocoa, or I'm trying not to make myself think it's a medicine. This is the Foti root, which is also in here. It's a Chinese herb. It's Hoshu Wu, I believe is the Chinese word. And roots, as my dad would say, he didn't like the taste of it. I gave some to my friend and she spit it out in the sink like she was screaming in the clinic. This soap, I found it. It was in the bag that I used to carry my stuff upstairs. I don't like a lot of, I call it aggressive. I don't like a lot of soaps that burn the skin off my hands. The more I change my diet, I change products, I change toiletries, paper towels, and I can't use normal people's stuff. And not saying that. I just train my body to not put up with a lot of chemicals, and so I think I've lost some of the protection. So certain chemicals, it just burns and my skin comes off. That's why I have this Band-Aid. My skin literally comes off and I get cuts. And it's basically, when I'm home on summer break, I'll use different soaps. I have a dish soap like this, the pine needle one. This I bought so I could take to clinic and school and use, but I forget about it. And I use like natural soaps and shampoos, the Chinese. I like the Chinese, what is that? Giovanni's. It still has a little, like, I don't want to just wash my hair with like rubbing alcohol and a bunch of chemicals. I rather use like a bunch of herbs and extracts. And I found this book while I was getting the backpack to carry my stuff upstairs. I'm like, oops, it's a library book. Dehydrating foods. It should not be in the, this actually has like cooked foods, but this should not be in the in a backpack randomly sitting somewhere, like bread. I don't know. They actually cook that. I feel like these people dehydrate it, then cook it, but you can get ideas. There's tons of stuff at the library. I have this book. I bought this for school, and basically I feel like a lot of it's just Wikipedia, like pictures from Wikipedia. I mean, it was slightly expensive. I don't even want to admit how much I paid for it. This is the last one, but I like it because it's organized. Like this one, Prunus serotina, wild cherry or choke cherry, from the rose family, and it tells you like the chemicals that are used or that you can utilize for different purposes. It's used for astringent, irritant, cough, sedative, and basically it'll go through like a page or two for each herb. Everything's not in here. I can actually see some. We took like 3 or 4 terms of botanical medicine. So I bought it as like a quick, like for homework, I can easily look stuff up. And in the front it has like different categories. They categorize stuff, alternatives, and lymphatic alternatives. They have it in categories, and they have also areas where you can look up the Latin name and the English name. And then I felt like the index was pretty good. There's stuff missing, I wrote it in. And this isn't like, it's written by Zora D. Grand Prix MS ND. And the index is pretty good. There's stuff missing, but it's not something that's like been around forever, that's been edited by a lot of people. So I have a lot of books like this, but this, for me, like I said, it's almost like a Wikipedia in a book, but it's easy to just carry around and look stuff up. So that could help people if you need to go outside and buy forage outdoors. Even in the city, next to highway exit, I have a ton of the plants outside are in my yard. Actually, before a botanical medicine exam, I told myself I'm not going to cut the grass, which wasn't grass, it was weeds, which normal people would call. And the teachers always say, go out to the field, grow your own garden, go out to the community gardens and look at these plants and name them. Say the Latin names, get herbs at home and put them in like jars and put the Latin name on there so you memorize that for the test. And then, like when you're, so I'd go out in the yard and see these, oh, I know that's for this, that's for the lungs, that's for this. And I would recognize, I like pictures, I like to see it, but she said seeing the plants, there's two teachers, a male and a female, seeing the plants will help you better. So I like looking at the plants and, yeah, I like looking at the plants and naming them. But I got like a pre-eviction notice. And it had been raining for like 2 weeks. Seriously. Where I live. It was mud. It was the middle of winter. It was dark outside. When I got home, you know, it was dark at 4 o'clock. It's raining every day. And I get a pre-eviction notice because my grass was like 2 inches tall. Which, it wasn't even grass. It was the weeds. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. And in my mind, I'm like, this is my learning garden right now. And it's like another thing that makes me say, why in the world do I live in a place that's going to be like that? And I thought it was just the manager, and I talked to her finally, and she's like, oh, my boss comes around and like spies, and we have a fenced yard, and you're supposed to get a inspection, like notice, 24-hour notice before you enter the properties. But apparently the boss's boss, or the manager's boss comes around and spies on us, so who knows. I mean, they come in the house without permission all the time. It's basically against the law, but I really wanted to use the real plant and study it, because that's one of my best ways of learning, is to talk out loud and to hold on to something. I don't know what happened to the order of this. I think it was in a different folder. I'm just showing you this last. This is a really long video, sorry. This is a project I did for my surgery class. I like diversity, so I like to put pictures of different diverse people in my things. I'm sure, I didn't even look at this, but basically it was a kit to take on a global, like a mission trip, like a surgery kit. And this is how like I typically would pack. I'd pack too much stuff. Suitcases full of junk, camels. I thought it was funny. No one really laughed. And then I thought, oh, look at this lady. She's like simple. She's got like this one little bag. So I basically, what is this? Be safe, be sterile. If in doubt, refer out. Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't realize I had that quote. So basically you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're doing surgery, field surgery, and you're also somewhere in the desert. And basically, like I said, it's just my experience. This is just a partial thing. This is a list of surgical equipment that you need when you're doing a surgery. I'm in naturopathic school, so we do minor surgeries. I'm not going to remove your gallbladder. We watched a lot of videos about how to remove gallbladders and parts of stomachs, but we don't actually practice that, so I'm not going to, according to the state law as of now, I can't remove your gallbladder. If I had to do an emergency, sign a release, and I'm sure I could do it. But basic minor surgery list. And I have this as kind of a, say I'm going to say Zimbabwe, and I have pictures that I can point to, and you can use this to sterilize stuff if you don't have the actual, the sterilizer is like this autoclave. They do the same thing as that. And sutures. So basically I have this, say the word for sharps container and salve are like similar in a different language, I can point to a mixture like, oh, I need 2 sharps containers. So I'm getting inventory. I've never been on a mission or a medical trip where a lot of students go across to India and different places. I haven't been on one. I have 2 kids. I have no money. I don't know how in the world I could do it. But I'm planning on doing it one day. And then I like the pictures. I like gloss, shine, and pictures. So basically, I have all this stuff. Basically, most of it, not all of it. Don't quote me on that. I have a minor surgery kit where we have this stuff. And I don't have that. I can't get that until I'm a doctor. I just finally got this stuff. But basically, like for prepping purposes, there's people like me. I'll be licensed physician soon. There's stuff I could have in the house if there's an emergency, or if I'm out camping, or if I move out into a small town where there's not an emergency room. I could do your stitches, or I could do a lot of things. I can remove a lipoma. I could remove a what do you call it? Like a blood and I'm sorry, too much talking. Basically, I have this ring on here. This is basically for overseas, or my neighbors all are from Somalia, so maybe if there's an emergency, you could have this already in place. This is basically 1-page English to Shona, which is Zimbabwe. I have a scalpel, and as far as I could find, scalpel with scalpel there. But like scissors were Shigino, and needle holder was Chisono holder. So some of this I just did online, so don't quote me on. Don't go over to Zimbabwe and try to use my words, because my reference is just some online in my book that I have on beginning Shona. Please help me get these materials to perform a minor surgery. And then I have like the translation. This is just a project. I was supposed to work on it with somebody. They didn't understand my idea, and they totally like bailed on me like a day or 2 before it was done, and they had some long technical report about something. But I like shine and gloss, and I like stuff that I can actually use in real life. Somebody wrote this. There was a dry erase marker on this, so I could also said like, you have a blank page. You're taking like basically this in a backpack full of these supplies over to somewhere where they don't do surgeries, and that's all you have. So if you need to draw a picture of what you need, or say how many millimeters, you can write that out here. And that was just my idea. I was kind of bummed that person bailed on me, but she was already ignoring me, and I was already getting stuff translated and stuff, so I was like, you know what, I can't wait till the day of the thing and find out this person has been working on her own project. That's all that I have in my bag right now. I'll show the products later, maybe. I'll show you part of my book. I'll show you, like, there's vegetables and stuff growing in my yard in buckets. I always move, and I have salad and Chinese cabbage or who knows what, because I put them all in the same pot. And I will tell you the truth, I'm not the best gardener, but I grow a lot of my own food. It's taking a lot of practice, and I don't have land. I've had moving trucks full of tomato plants and stuff that usually people stack on each other so they get destroyed before the harvest season. But we moved so many times, and we lived in these rental places. You can't do this, can't do that, can't have pets, can't do blah, 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 blah. Everything you can't do. So I would have these flower pots with vegetables. And I fail to remember that when you rent a place, they like to spray for pests without telling you. So I failed to remember that, and I have a lot of my house plants near the perimeter of the house. Or in the winter, I put my plants there so that they're like year-round plants. But if they freeze too much, with the insulation here is so bad that I just put plants next to the house and they don't freeze during the winter because I'm turning the heat on, heating up the outdoors. And I fail to remember that, and I see the dude come around when I'm actually home once in a while, spraying everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I had plants out there and stuff I wanted to give my guinea pig, but I'm thinking maybe I could live with this pesticide, but this little critter that weighs like 2 pounds, I'm scared to give it to him. So I'm a little hesitant about some of the stuff I've grown outside, and I take a lot of work growing it and spend a lot on organic, like soil and different pots and stuff, and buying organic plants, and it's kind of a shame to see someone coming around with a spray saying, oh, I didn't spray your plants. Like, how do I know you don't spray my plants? But you don't really care. You don't even realize that this is food. And I've had them. I was growing wheatgrass, and they didn't tell us they sprayed, and I told the maintenance guy once about my wheatgrass. Like, you know what? Don't eat anything in your yard, because we had the guys come around and spray all kinds of chemicals in everyone's yard. It's like, nobody told us. And I went in making a fuss about it, and they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean you grow your own food in an apartment in the city? Like, so I just learned to shut up, because I don't want to be reported. They don't like me for things like that. But I'm trying to do what's best for me and my family, and trying to learn. I may not grow all my food. I may not sprout everything. But I would like to. Even the natural food company, like I said, the sausage and stuff, I'm finding bits of bone. If I had crunched on it, I broke my tooth. And then I'm like, I'm throwing it away. I'm not even going to give it to my kids. So I just wasted $10 on 4 sausages that I thought was good. So even some of these health food companies are skimping. They're doing stuff that our ancestors wouldn't have done. When they were making stuff for their families, they would have done it better. They wouldn't have been sloppy, and they wouldn't have filled it with chemicals. So that's where I'm at. I may or may not post this video, because I'm trying to slightly label myself as preparing for just even living. I feel like a frog in a pot of boiling water, or cold pot of water. I feel like all the stuff that people prep for is already happening around us, slowly, and maybe indirectly. And there's so many clues about this, and I'll go into that later. There's so many things that are going on around us that it's like, if it becomes, I feel like anytime stuff could crack, even if the weather's crazy, and the meteorites, something could crack where you would be stuck in your home, or the price of gas will go to $20 a gallon. It's already over $4 a gallon. Was it like $4.36 up the street here? A gallon of gas, $4.36. Man, I'm like, wow. The stuff is already, it's either slowly happening. And my friend got mad at me because he said, he didn't get mad at me, but he made a comment after I made a comment about crazy stuff going on in the world. He's like, can't we just be happy? Can't we just live a happy life? And I said, you know what? In my mind, I have to justify everything, because I feel like, oh, he's right. I'm just a party pooper. These people are here having peace, love, and happiness, and doing their own thing, and not having to be single parents, and going out to eat with their friends whenever, and I'm just a party pooper. But I had to tell myself, like, it's like in the Bible where they talk about the guy with who gets, well, okay. There's some guy that came up to me in a parking lot and was like, I don't want to go to your church. It's all crazy where they're holding rattlesnakes and, you know, all this stuff. But it's like when Jesus was fasting 30 or 40 days, and the devil was telling him to jump off the cliff because the angels will save him. And he's like, I will not test God. So I feel like if I am knowledgeable about something, if I know that's a rattlesnake, I'm not going to test God by picking it up and playing with it and bringing it in the house for the kids to play with. No, so I'll be dead. But if I am out in the backyard picking my cabbage, that I don't even know if it's cabbage or lettuce or whatever is in there, hopefully it won't be pesticide, and a snake comes and bites me, I can have the faith that God will heal me, or that God will guide me to call 911 or whatever. Another surgeon comes and stops the bleeding. I'll take homeopathy for that. But I don't want to test God, so I feel like if I'm knowledgeable about all the things that people want to plan for, that I need to just, I mean, it's like not driving around on an empty tank of gas. It's like, well, I could survive and walk to the gas station or call AAA, but I feel like if I just keep the gas tank to a certain level, that I can just have it, like, rest better that night and not worry, or not get to the gas station, you know, and be late for work, or break down on the side of the road with kids in the car in a bad neighborhood. Like, I just feel like it's good to be wise and not to test God. And a lot of times I feel like God is, it's in the Bible and clues, and just being knowledgeable about your surroundings and about what's on. I don't watch TV news, but I watch it on the internet sometimes. It's just being knowledgeable and seeing the stuff going on around you and realizing it's not always happy. And I can have a 72-hour kit, and I can have some knowledge about plants, and I can train my kids to how to make a fire, or how to hide, if there's civil unrest, or how to hide in the house without being seen. I can teach them that stuff. And then we can go roller skating and go watch a movie. We don't have to just sit in gloomy weather, and we can go out in public and smile and tell people to have a nice day, because there's people that are more grumpier than me that are jumping off of bridges and ramming their cars into buildings and stuff. So I have to I need to keep balance, but at the same time, there's a reason some of us have certain hobbies, and there's a reason that certain people have different types of knowledge or different types of things they share with the public. So I just wanted to share my views, and it's hard for me to share my views because I've had so many people tell me I'm wrong, and I'm getting older. I might need to sit there 110 years old telling someone I'm wrong because I ate too many. And I've had people tell me I ate too many avocados or too many nuts. They tell me, you're fat because you eat bananas. And I'm like, whoo. So, and I eat a lot of bananas. I look puffy now, but I'm going to wear a really small size of clothes. I like to hide and wear a bunch of baggy, funny looking clothes. You see my picture, and my daughter took it. She's a good photographer, but I actually posed and didn't want to be all hidden. And so I just have to realize that we're all put on this earth to do. For me, I feel like I'm supposed to do what I can do, put one foot in front of the other, and especially under all the stress and raising the kids by myself. None of those people are coming over here helping raise the kids. None of those people are. Most people call us and say, we can't talk to you because we're in the hospital having surgery. And I'm not trying to make fun. I've been in there having surgery. My mom and dad I don't know about my dad. My family members had surgeries. But I have to realize some of these surgeries are caused because they were not taking care of themselves, or because whatever. And I would like to be the naturopath that can maybe help prevent some of these things. And I'm not going to point the finger and judge you, because I've gone through it all, tore out my body on my own. It's not like I'm all perfect, and I was raised a perfect little child. I've done my fair share of imperfection, and I would like to try to warn kids and adults that some of this stuff, you see the end results, is not pretty, and you can't go back in time and fix it. And the same for people that are prepping. If you have the minimum and you have it organized in one area, you can at least, if something happens and they told us at Red Cross, we're not going to come for 72 hours because we have our own business to take care of, or the roads could be broke down, or whatever the excuse is. Can't depend on this all the time. And I just want to say, someone was talking about the Sandy storm. I just want to say I had watched some stuff about Katrina. I used to have the magazine, National Geographic, but those people helped, they threw it away. I wish I still had it. I was just thinking, wow, these people had no control. They had their rights taken away. And the people that ended up in that Superdome, I still watch some of those underground videos of people that stayed out of the Superdome and were able to get supplies or clean out their bank accounts before electricity went out. They were able to manage and they had grouped up. The one guy, maybe some of you guys seen his video, he grouped up with another family, him and his kids and his wife, and the guy's wife went and got supplies, and they were thinking how to walk through from the Walmart with the big cart of stuff. They were thinking, and I think that's a positive thing, because I could end up being at school and have a disaster happen. What do I have in my backpack that I can survive? What do I have out in my car that I can survive, or on the land that I can survive? What's poisonous, what's not? Where's the clean water and where's the not? So it's a lot about thinking and learning and being knowledgeable. And I think for me, I like doing this stuff on the YouTube and the blogs, because I don't know any of you guys, or you live in different cities. I can learn from you and you can learn from me, but the biggest thing, in my city where I live, people don't believe me. They talk garbage about what I'm doing, because it's not normal. It's not normal to not eat the fast food like they do every day. But it's also, I don't want to be in the hospital like them, dying at age 49. I'm not ready for that. I could die right now. I could eat contaminated E. coli, one of these, and die. I'm not saying that what I'm doing is perfect, but I feel better doing it, healthier and clarity of mind. So I think for me in my city, one of my issues is speaking out Like I said, I don't have any basement full of stuff. I barely have a 72-hour kit, and I'll show you my 72-hour kit later. This is not my 72-hour. This is just the stuff that I grabbed out of the cupboards that will last quite a bit of time without going bad. But I don't want people finally saying, like someone said, that some person who doesn't believe me doesn't believe my medicine that I'm learning is even real medicine, when it is. This person's like, oh, in the event of a disaster, we'll go to your house. So you have to kind of be careful. I'm a single mother. I don't have any weapons. I took martial arts for several years, but I'll run away from you. If you try to fight with me, I'll cry and run. It'll be like, woo! It's like, kids, come on. I mean, if I had to defend myself, my reflexes are fast, and who knows what will happen if someone tries to hurt me. Because I've been trained, my reflexes have been really fast these past few years for different reasons. I won't hesitate to block or to defend myself, but I'm not about to go out and start a fight and beat someone up. No, I'll cry first if you try to start something with me. But I get hesitant about someone trying to come over to my house and think that I have more than they have, or think that I'm more prepared than they are. So I have to be careful about speaking about my knowledge. Just people laugh in my face. They laugh because I want to have 6 gallons of water in the cupboards, or that I want to have these compacted treats, or that I want to use different soaps and all these different things. But then if you know what hits the fan, then they're going to remember me, and they may try to come over here and mess with me. And they may not be nice about it. They're not nice now, and they're just supposed to be my friends. How are they going to be if they're desperate? You know, and that's why I hesitate about even posting this. So I'll make another video. Maybe I'll split this one up. You can feel free to fast forward or rewind or whatever. I'll make a shorter version of this another time, and I'll show you my actual 72-hour kit, and I'll just get back to my homework.